In the first year in office, the NCFC government has really been focused on ensuring that we strengthened government finances, the fiscal policies that drive government policy, ensuring that we strengthened all of our budget systems. Equally in education, we focused on what were the highest risk areas to our families? How could we support our most vulnerable learners? And then, of course, I had to do the school tours because in driving policy, you have to engage with all the stakeholders, and the most meaningful stakeholders in an education system are educators, our parents, and of course our students. We were able to more than double our early childhood assistance program funding. We went from 910,000 in 2025 to funding that program at $2.1 million in 2026 and 2027. Doubling that funding supports our most vulnerable families. It ensures that our children get the earliest access to quality provision at our early learning centers. And so what we've done is we've looked strategically at where there's the highest risk. And the highest risk is in the early years. Funding our children and their families is a crucial investment in their future. We also ensured that there were families who were being missed in the program. And so we've lifted the ceiling to ensure that families who exceeded the income threshold but were still struggling were now captured. For example, if a family made $6,200 a month in combined income, but their expenses were $5,700, that's really tight finances for that family for a month. Previously, they would have been excluded purely on income. Now we're looking at the entire situation using the DFA model to ensure we capture those families. Tertiary education is a key driver for economic development. Having a highly skilled, flexible workforce is paramount, integral, and a cornerstone for quality economic development. And so UCCI has a master development plan, and so the government funded it with $9 million to kick it off. Now we know that's not going to be the complete program, but it's a good start and a critical investment in their infrastructure to ensure that we're meeting student needs while also ensuring that we give them the highest quality of plant to operate from. In Cayman, we're very proud, extremely proud of our inclusion programs and policies. At the Sir John A. Campbell Primary School, there are 2 full autism spectrum disorder classes, and there are also a number of other students who have special and additional education needs. At present, when I took office, we only had 1 sensory room. Now that we have a sensory garden, we're going to be able to accommodate all of those children, ensure that they have that space that when things happen, when they become disruptive, they can regulate and be able to be reintegrated back into their classroom. So that's going to benefit well over 100 children directly. More importantly, during breaks and lunchtime, it's going to be a space where all the children are going to be able to enjoy and have fun in. I went to every school campus and I met with the principal and the senior team by themselves. I then met with the teaching body by themselves. And I also met with the parent teachers associations and at secondary school councils. Those meetings have already unearthed a number of consistent themes that are going to drive the policy reform that the ministry is going to unveil. That work is going to happen in June and July of this year. And I can only say that our educators did themselves and the system proud, because when we created that sort of safe space for them to interface with myself and the chief officer and the deputy chief officers, they rose to the occasion and they gave us the absolute unequivocal truth of what was happening in our system. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so now it's down to us to actually create the policy reform and new initiatives that's going to drive quality standards and ensure that we can lift the number of our schools from good to excellent and ensure that we continue to drive education standards which are critically important to all of our children's lives and ensure that we produce adults who are highly competent, innovative, flexible, and able to integrate in the workforce. Well, as the country knows, coming out of the pre-fuel report, there was real concern around public finances. And so the NCFC government took immediate action. That immediate action allowed us to create an environment in which we could ultimately produce a surplus for 2025. That's no mean feat. While doing that, we then, as a coalition government, had to come together to create a budget. And I'm very proud of the budget. That's a truthful budget. It's a wholesome budget. We didn't underfund areas and play games with numbers to simply create an artificial surplus. What we projected was the unequivocal best estimate as to where the public finances would be. And so creating a balanced budget in the environment that we're in was something that I'm extremely, extremely proud of, and the country should feel secure around. Equally, I'm more impressed with the fact that the fee revenue measures that we've implemented are, the vast majority of them are in financial services. So we were able to target an area of the economy that doesn't interface with the domestic economy to cause any sort of material cost of living increases. We already know families are struggling. We already know things have been tough, especially with the rising costs coming out of COVID. And so being able to do this within 1 year in office, but more importantly, to bring the budget to Parliament and have it passed in November versus the old days where Parliament was meeting well into the Christmas season, struggling to get a budget passed, was something I'm extremely, extremely proud of. The NCFC government clearly understands that coming out of the COVID pandemic, there has been a real spike in cost of living. Logistics globally have increased the cost of all items across our economy. That rise in cost of living is felt by all Caymanians. And so we empathize with the position that we find ourselves in as a community. And so the government acted and acted swiftly. From early March, we started the research around ways in which we could provide relief. The obvious choice was fuel. And so in waiving the duty on fuel is going to provide immediate relief to Caymanians at the pump. Also, we targeted energy consumption. And so customers of CUC and Island Energy are going to enjoy a material benefit over the sweltering summer months. We know that during the summer, electricity bills increase. They increase because the weather is hotter, children are home, and therefore AC systems have to work a hell of a lot harder. And so anyone consuming between 100 and 2,000 kilowatt hours per month are going to have their energy consumption bills capped at 18 cents per kilowatt hour. This is going to help Caymanian families. This is going to provide the relief Caymanians have been begging for. We're initially starting this program at 4 months, and then we're going to reassess the position later in the year to see if we have to extend the program. But we didn't just act about today. We've looked at this long term. We're going to be working with Island Energy and CUC on targeting vulnerable Caymanian families who need to have their roofs foamed in. We know that in doing that, you can see reductions in your CUC and Island Energy bills for up to 30%. That is material long-term benefit. That is something that we're going to be doing in the coming months, assessing families, using information from DFA and CUC and Island Energy to ensure that we do this. But this is also going to have a positive impact on our environment because that's going to reduce our consumption of fossil fuels. It's going to make our homes stronger because in foaming in roofs, it makes them stronger in regards to hurricanes and withstanding hurricanes. And so we're very, very proud of the fact that we're not only addressing cost of living, but we're also looking at the long term and ensuring the Caymanian families enjoy lower fuel bills. I'm also working closely with OFRIG to ensure that we reassess the way in which fuel companies actually charge fuel in Cayman. We're also looking at how CUC and Island Energy are going to integrate more solar into their energy mix. That is going to also offer us a great possibility for reducing the cost of fuel consumption in the long term for all of our residents. We're right now in the middle of a number of exciting initiatives. In fact, we are in discussions right now with the FCDO around modernizing our Public Management and Finance Act. That is going to offer the government great possibilities for right-sizing that piece of legislation so that it works better for Caymanians, it works better for our civil servants, and it is more meaningful and impactful with the delivery of budgets and financial packages in Parliament. We're also looking at the entire budget system. And so we're moving from an output-based budget to an outcome-based budget system. And we're going to ensure that we have that ready for the next administration. It's a heavy project. It involves a lot of work. It's going to involve a lot of training and retraining. But we believe that all of these projects in conjunction is going to be able to deliver the type of public management finance system that the country deserves.